Okay, so you're in your courses and you go into your guided culture transformation process, and you notice that you go down to where you have a mentoring form and template as usual. And just to kind of refresh your memory, typically when you're doing the mentoring in months 1 through 6, the template is going to be focused on what you've just learned and less on a standardized way of doing mentoring. And then when you get to mentoring 7, which is in month 8, the mentoring template is a consistently certain type of mentoring template. Because by this point, you have learned enough tools that you can begin to apply them in a generalized way. So you're going to be looking at first asking the person, once you get through the appreciation and the purpose and core values, then you're going to be asking the person, what score would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 regarding your relationships? And in this instance, perhaps the person says, I have 2 people that I'm having problems with. And say perhaps when you're in the session, that person does have a relationship issue with at least one person. And so you would checkbox yes. And then you might put in the notes, this person has 2 relationships that have unresolved issues. And one of them might be scored at a 7, and one of them might be scored at, say, a 3. So you don't really want to know the person's name or the story around that score. And so you would checkbox, yes, they have a relationship issue problem. And maybe in this instance, the person is asked on a scale of 1 to 10, what sort of issues do you have with productivity? And this person doesn't have any problems with productivity. So they're giving themselves a 10 regarding that. But maybe they have some engagement issues. When they're asked their score of between 1 and 10, they might say this person is at an 8. And then it comes out that that's likely because of the 2 relationship issues above. It's possible that somebody could have 2 relationships that are struggling and still choose to work on their engagement levels without it having to do anything with their relationship problems. Maybe they're not engaging because they're bored in their work. Or maybe they're not engaging because they're feeling less than competent, or that they don't have the choices, or some other intrinsic motivator. And so it's very important that you don't assume going into the mentoring session that you know what issues or challenges are up. You'll also notice on the mentoring template that there are a couple of other tasks down at the bottom. So let's say a person has a 10 in their relationships, a 10 in their productivity, a 10 in their engagement. Then what you want to do is you want to ask them, do you want to work on your blueprint, which is further defining and being accountable to their purpose, their core values, their visions, their goals, procedures, and roles around those visions? Do you want to just practice 1 or 2 of the tools so that when you need them, you're more adept at them? Or do you want to work on anything else? Practicing something, discussing something culture related. So those are the things that are possible. And eventually people do get to the point where they're resolving problems along the way. And then they are free to work on more proactive activities, like practicing tools and building forward on their blueprint. Okay, I just want to say why the 8 values that build trust are also on this template. When a person has a relationship issue, it's very important that they don't tell the story or don't name the name, but that they recognize what behaviors are being neglected or violated, not only from the other person's side, but your own side, because there's always 2 people involved in a relationship that is suffering. Even if the only thing that has not been done is to disclose that you're not at a 10 with someone. So when a person is able to identify, I have a relationship that's a 3 and a one that's a 7, you might ask, which one do you want to work on? And which behaviors do you want to work on first once they've identified those? And that way, it's helping a person move from a 3 to a 4 or a 7 to an 8. And they really start seeing that it's about progress, not perfection. And it's about going from awareness into managing something and helping that person that you're mentoring move through that process so that the day does come when they don't have relationship issues because they're managing them very unconsciously, competently. And that's the purpose of getting to this point with the templates where you've got all the tools or a big percentage of them. And now it's all about using and applying awareness and management.